Journaling is good for you. Everybody's saying it. In fact, you can't get people to shut the fuck up about it.
I've been journaling every day for over 2 years.
So if you want to start journaling, it's actually pretty simple.
If I had to start journaling all over again, this is what I would do differently.
Honestly, I would attribute several $1 million of bottom line business profits to the act of journaling.
Unfortunately, like all things that are good for you, it's difficult to do over a long period of time. You hear journaling is good for you, you're like, I agree. You watch a video about it. Maybe you watch a YouTube video and they're like, journaling is good for you in this, and this way. I journaled for 100 days and I made $1 million and everybody loves me now. And you're like, I'm going to do that. So you go to Barnes and Nobles, you buy a Moleskine notebook, you take it home, and for a while, it's great. You're writing everything down. You're writing up a storm for like a week, a month maybe. You're killing it. You're learning stuff about yourself. You don't need therapy. This notebook, this book can fix you. All you had to do was buy one more notebook, and then you miss a day, or you're sick, or you forget to do it. Or maybe you just sit down and you got nothing to say. You're a blank slate. You are Patrick Starr thinking about milk, and that's fine. And maybe the next day you get back on the horse and you keep going, and perfect is the enemy of good, and et cetera, et cetera. But often I find that it's just like those you forget a day, you forget 2 days, you're sick, and then you're like, well, just start again on Monday. And then, you pick up your journal and it's a month later and you look at the last entry and you're not even that guy. You're not even that guy anymore. You need a new notebook. I was like you once, wasting money. Notebooks all around me, notebooks stacked up to the ceilings of my house. I found the notebook that fixed it for me. Genuinely, I don't like to suggest people buy anything ever at any point, but I have found this incredibly useful. This is a 5-year journal. And I do just want to say, this is a special one made to be a 5-year journal. You could easily modify a journal you already have, a notebook you already have, to be a 5-year journal, or a daily journal especially would be very easy to change into a 5-year journal. How does it work? Every page is a day of the year. So January 1st, November 22nd, August 3rd, the classics, all your favorites. But each page is also split into 5 segments with a little space on each segment for you to write the year. So you use the notebook for 5 years. The first year you go through, you fill out all the top on each page, the first page, and that's through a year. And then the second year you go through, and then the third year you go through, and then the fourth year you go through. And then 5 years later, you finally filled it up. This is, in my opinion, better for me anyways. So many caveats. This is, in my opinion, better for me than a standard journal for a few reasons. I will now list them Jenny Nicholson style. Number one, the spaces are small, and I like that because often I don't have a lot to write about. There are days where I do have a lot going on, but there are also a lot of days where I just wake up, I work out, I go to work, I come home, and I look at my page at the end of the day. I'm like, what am I gonna write here? And sometimes I do just write just that. But it takes a lot of the pressure off when it's not like, well, I've written 2 sentences and I have this whole big page that I should be, or I'm like, maybe I should keep going. I should have something. I'm not interesting. I'm a boring guy. It takes a lot of that pressure off when you can just fill out the space with, I went to work. Oh, this person was kind of annoying today, whatever. And on the days when I do have a lot to write, it's kind of nice to sort of have to focus in on what actually mattered to me. And, you can spill into the margins, and maybe sometimes if I have a lot to write about, I'll sneak into the next day a little bit. I like that kind of focus thing of what, I went to this thing and I hung out with friends and I had these feelings. I like to be able to narrow it down to went to this, had this feeling, maybe I should think about da-da-da, and not have the thing of I'm just going to write and write and write. Too, and this is sort of the selling point, I think, for these, is you get the opportunity to look back at your past self. The first year, you're going through, it's kind of just like a regular journal, but short. The second year is, I think, when this starts to be kind of a slightly different way, because it kind of part of journaling is going back to look at and like, it gives you a chance to sort of do like essentially like game review for like your life, like, going back and watching tape and seeing like, oh, I was feeling this way this day and da 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 da. I found that I never did, like, I just never made the time to do that in other journals. In this journal, it kind of almost forces you to, because you are going in to write about this day and you are like, well, I can see what happened to me last, right there, right above it. It's almost hard not to read it. And I find it to be a nice exercise. Sometimes there are funny coincidences. Like on both days, I did the exact same thing. Sometimes it reminds you of, like, for instance, it has saved me from forgetting some friends' birthdays for sure. And sometimes it like reminds you of like, oh, this is the day that we did that big thing. This is the day I went on that date with this, this is the day that, oh, I bought this thing. I found this place. I, went to this restaurant for the first time. That can be nice, but it's interesting how often like patterns start to show up, especially once you reach like the third, fourth year, because you're seeing, maybe on one day you're like, God, I hate my fucking job. And then on the next year, you're like, still hate my job. It was even worse today. And then on the third year, you're like, oh gosh, I had a bad day at work today too. Maybe I need to reassess what I'm doing in my career. Or maybe, you get to look at it and be like, oh, things have changed in such a positive way. And that feels nice. It feels good to look back and be like, wow, I was so miserable. That's weirdly, it's fun to like look back and be like, wow, I was really miserable on July 3rd last year. And today I'm doing great. Number 3, if you carry around a notebook for like 5 years, it's going to get all beat up and grimy like this one is. And that just looks good to me. I like the aesthetic of like a nice thing that's been well worn and well used, and people are going to look at you. They're going to think, what's he writing in there? It's so beat up and so old. I bet this guy's got good ideas. I bet he's a genius. I should give him $100.